Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BETSPERTS. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christenson, and joining me as always, Mr. Andy Molitor. But to be honest, folks, we got to give him a little energy today. Be good in the comment section. Get some thumbs up going pretty early. Andy needs a boost.
Do I need a boost?
I don't know.
I'm
You
just
sounded a little down on yourself.
I don't know. It's just I'm pumped. Like I'm having a good Friday. It's just a lot of little things going on, and it does take a lot of time, and you have to have like a big chunk of time set apart to start handicapping some of these Olympic sports because 90% of it is just tracking shit down. And I think sports betting, and I bet this is probably something you could say as well. Like sports betting has made me a much better Googler, much better hunter of information. Like just all the times you're looking for something specific. Like my internet skills have improved greatly, and I guess we grew up on the internet. It's not as much as the younger folks. Like I do remember not having internet as a very young youth, but it's a lot. And then the prop market too. Starting to dig into that, it's like Christ. I need like 10 of me. I need an intern. And if I'm going to keep picking the exact score of NBA games, the exact total as it lands in overtime, I loved how the NBA chat kind of got behind it once we realized, like, oh shit, I said like 240 something. And the NBA chat got like pumped when it landed on 247. Had to go look that up. That was pretty funny yesterday. Sorry that the Bulls couldn't win, but I knew a bunch of people that were on Toronto. I'm glad they won. We got our 222 pretty easily. College basketball is a bit of a grind. If you got a good number on Sacred Heart, you went 6-5. If not, there's people that pushed. That game actually middled. It closed 3.5. It landed on 4. A bunch of people probably pushed on that 4. I got a 6 early in the morning. Those extra games do move pretty quick. So sorry I didn't put it into BetSperts earlier. But also I haven't put my picks in today either. So I'm the asshole. And with that, Alex, are you excited for the weekend of no sports besides, I don't know, like figure skating and basketball, I guess?
Well, it's good to have the Winter Olympics. I'll get into a bunch of that stuff. I do like figure skating. I think that stuff is like just tremendously, not only just beautiful, but like
Skill.
underrated at the level of athleticism. Not just the balance, the jumping, the amount of leg strength. I love watching the pairs. Every once in a while, you get a pairs team, and I forget the name that was the team that was particularly good last year. I assume they're Russian, but this big giant of a man and this little tiny woman, he's just throwing her up in the air with skates on, like with blades on the bottom of her feet. It's just spectacular. So I will actually kind of get into all of that. I did watch Blades of Glory the other day, Patrick. It's pretty tremendous. I don't know if necessarily it's the best picturing of figure skating, but it's quite fun. I think we'll be fine. We got a lot of basketball. There'll be a ton of, maybe I'll watch some college basketball.
There's some good games. You know what I would encourage you to get into? The Mountain West. It is my favorite conference. There's like 4 or 5 teams up at the top that are all within a certain level of, they're all close. So like, and it seems like every night two of the best teams are playing each other. Like last night we had another good one. We've got Colorado State and San Diego State tonight. I just put a play in on them. So that's, and I did forget there's golf. Like there will be golf this weekend. I'll be taking that in. I love how ESPN Plus has the golf in the afternoon where I can just I have my you can see I'm looking up above my monitor that I'm looking at. There's another TV I mounted on the wall, hooked up to an old computer, so I can just basically for streaming shit, watching tennis, soccer, golf, basketball, whatever I want. So it is Maction Friday, but I'll start with some golf because I did take some looks. Don't love this tournament. I said I'd bet more. I lied. I forgot how much I hate this 3 course rotation and trying to figure out stuff. Like you can go back if you have the time again, you can go back and look. Like there are guys who struggle on Spyglass, which is the toughest of the 3 courses. A couple people will put out some stats after the round is played and say this is the true leaderboard where, hey, this guy played okay, but he was on the toughest course and it's playing 2 shots harder. So we technically should bump him up, a little bit of a normalization of the score since everybody played different difficulty courses. And so, I mean, it just made what Seamus Power do that much more impressive. But a couple of just single round matchups for me in Minwoo Lee as a dog over Matt Jones. Matt Jones is someone I've been fading here. I don't like basically any part of his game. Maybe save some of his greens and regulation stuff. He's just not a guy that I'm ever looking at to get a nice low score here. I think I'm gonna have to double check that on where they're playing. That is Pebble Beach. Those two are playing on Pebble Beach. I think that's like my most neutral course of the three, but I have Minwoo Lee rated a lot better as far as some scoring opportunities, and getting him as a dog is nice. And then the other one is on the tough course. This will be on Spyglass. And part of the reason I made this play is Matt Kuchar has not traditionally played Spyglass all that well. He hasn't played badly at this tournament. He had a pretty rough Sunday at Pebble last year, the year before, but other than that, most of his worst rounds are on the toughest course. He shot a 73 the other year. Like, he's not traditionally going to play well on Spyglass. I don't have much information on Smalley. Not a deep dearth of information on this kid, but just what I do have in this short time and what I have for my information, my stats on him, I like him as a favorite over Cooch. It's more of a Cooch fade just because I've liked Smalley here for a couple weeks. So just a couple of small bets on single round matchups. I might do some live betting Saturday after everybody's played all three rounds. I think the numbers are pretty good for the most part, but I might live bet a couple outrights anyway, just to have something to cheer for Sunday because Justin Rose isn't getting there. He shot like one under. He's a ways off the lead.
Do they keep rotating all 3 days, or does everybody end up on the same course Sunday? It's how does that work?
So there's three courses. Everybody plays, so they do a Sunday cut rather than Saturday cut. So everybody plays all three courses once, and then on Sunday they'll just take the top 60 in ties, get rid of the amateurs, and everyone will only play Pebble Beach.
Gotcha.
So yeah, everybody does have to play all three courses, and then you play Pebble twice.
So that's a simpler handicap then.
Yeah, I like that's why I
You
like
can
it when I
actually
get
start
to
to bet
Sunday.
some golf.
I probably will play 4 or 5 matchups on Sunday. I like that for sure. So I'll look at that, and
Yeah.
I'll leave the NBA to you today. I think I nailed it hard enough yesterday.
I mean, to call the exact total of 247. Now, I don't remember if you called out an exact score. I asked you if it was 147, 100 out of jest, but maybe you called 127-20. Who knows? The Andy Chicago Bulls model has been pretty fire this year.
It's been pretty in tune.
We do have, I have to double check. There's a handful of games that got pulled off the board here. I'm trying to pull up and see possibly what's going on here. Looks like Levine is questionable, so it looks like the Bulls game is off the board here. Did you have a Bulls projection for us today?
No, with some of the injury news, it's just off the board for me as well.
Yeah.
Like the pressure's on. I'm just gonna say no every time now.
That's true. You've kind of peaked as a Bulls modeler, but there is 9 games tonight. A handful came off the board here. It looks like we have some injuries stuff. Good news. Kawhi Leonard unlikely to return this season. Good for our Clippers futures. But instead of talking about what's not on the board, let's jump into 2 picks that I do have for the day. The Boston Celtics was able to get -8 on them. It looks like it's starting to tick out towards 10. See if you could find yourself a 9 here, maybe 9.5 at a smaller play. They're going to Detroit. The Pistons in kind of a tough schedule spot. A little bit better. The Pistons starting to get to full strength, but it's just a team that's going to be overmatched. This Celtics team has been healthy now for about 2 weeks. They're really playing great basketball together. Defensively, they're going to swallow up this young team. Offensively, there isn't really too many players on the Pistons who can slow down Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, let alone both of them. I have the Celtics here as 11, almost 12-point favorites. So drawing the line at any number you can get better than 10. Again, make sure you follow me at the BETSPERTS app. Alex Christenson, no space. So you would have saw that 8 a little bit earlier. And then the Thunder, team total under 103. The Oklahoma City Thunder tonight visiting the Portland Trailblazers. Without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, it's just a rough offense. The efficiency takes a dive from being bad to downright awful. The Portland Trailblazers playing better basketball, but kind of at a slower pace here. I really like kind of what we have here with the Thunder on the road. It's a really tough spot for them. I have them, just at about 100 points here. So under 103, under 102.5, anything in that range looks good to me again. And what I think will be a slow game, which should be an ugly performance by the Thunder. And it's kind of funny. I think they might possibly be able to cover the number. It was +8. Again, that's off the board. I have to poke around and see what's going on there. Maybe just some adjustments. But again, Thunder team total under 102.5 or higher.
I did want to ask you about yesterday's Bulls game too, because I didn't get a chance to actually pop open a book and look at what the live number was. But I'm guessing at points in the first quarter, the live number was not 222 or 247. I'm guessing it was probably getting closer to two. There's only so much time decay you can have early in a game. They don't want to over adjust, but I'm guessing it was in the two teens for most of the early part of the game. Is there anything to that? Have you ever looked at that? This is just something that popped into my head, and I really wanted to ask you, because you model first quarters and you do bet first quarters quite a bit in the NBA, and you also look at the full games. Have you ever married the two and said, like, or have you ever run into that where it says, like, I think this might be a slow start, but I still like the over, and then just start building out some looks for, hey, here's something I might want to live bet if this is a slow starting game. Like, I kind of got to thinking about that yesterday with the Bulls. Was like, God, should I double down on this 222? And of course I should have. I just didn't.
It is a nice guidepost, and it does give me some nice ways to look from a live perspective. We had some success once earlier. I think it was the Timberwolves and the Hawks. We put the Timberwolves first quarter money line together with the Hawks -2 or something for the game. So I've been starting to do stuff like that more often. Like you said, if I notice that for whatever reason my first quarter model maybe likes an under in the first quarter, but an over for the game, I will try to wait. Again, if the opposite's true, first quarter over, full game under, again, that's always kind of nice there. But it is part of the reason I started getting into first quarters and started to look at first halves. It really allows you to get more of a script of what you think the game's going to look like, because NBA games, I mean, the four quarters all look wildly different. You see, I forget who it was, published the net ratings of teams by quarter, and it's just wild how different some of they are. Some teams are great in the first quarter. You have teams like the Warriors that just crush the third. So yeah, one of the advantages of looking at some of the quarters and halves is you get a better idea of what the flow of the game should look like, and kind of a better plan to live bet.
I like that. Yeah, again, I think about a lot about what our guy Hector does, Sports Hack. I never can remember it's like SH8 model or whatever, but he always has like these game plans set up for the NFL, and he does very well. He even said that he's like, I should just not bet games beforehand, because all of his, hey, if the Colts are leading, I'm looking for the Colts in the under. Like, he has a game plan for every game for what he's looking for with live bets and second halves. And I think that's a really good game plan that people could probably take advantage of in multiple sports. So something I'm definitely looking to add to my NFL for next year. College hoops might be a little tough unless I can automate it, because there are too many fucking games. And tomorrow is a good case for that. And even the days that are supposed to be dead days, like Mondays and Fridays, there's all these makeup games now. So a little bit of a heavier schedule than I thought today. I did come up with 6 plays. Um, I don't know which of these are makeup. I know that Ivy League is a traditional Friday. I do have a couple Ivy League plays. The MAAC, traditionally plays on days like the lighter days like this too, even though they've been upgraded to 3-digit rotation numbers over the past few years. So 6 for me today. In the Ivy League, the Columbia Lions taking on Penn under. I have both of these teams scoring in the low to mid 40s or low to mid 70s. I know Columbia's defense is stinky, but so is their offense. If the threes aren't falling, I don't know if they even get to. I don't even know if they get to 70. Penn should win this game. There's also a decent chance in the distribution of results that Penn just blows this game out, wins by 20, and we have that slow, just a let's use the whole shot clock, get this game over in late game state. And you could have a game that's trending over for most of the game, stay under, like yesterday I can't remember what game I bet, but we had one where it was trending over by 10 points. And then the favorite stretched the lead out to like 15, stayed under by 10. So I do like that when I'm looking at an under, a game that could get away from us a little there. Big dog, Green Bay over in the Horizon League. Not a good team. I'm going to talk about another not a good team. Can't shoot a three worth a hoot, but they are getting to the line. They're making their 3-pointers, or excuse me, they're making their free throws. Defense is slightly improved. I like Cleveland State. They've had a nice run here, but they dropped a game to Northern Kentucky. They've dropped some games to some teams they should have lost to, which is fine. But the Northern Kentucky loss, being as close as they were with Wright State, this isn't a team I'm giving a huge leeway to that should be 12, 13-point favorite. So taking the dog here with the Green Bay Norse Phoenix. Cleveland State is like the Vikings. It is the Phoenix. Back to the Ivy for Princeton. This is out to 2.5. I still think that's bettable. I think they wax Cornell, according to my numbers at least. The Princeton offense is a truck. Defense could use a little help. This should be a fun, high-scoring game. I do not believe in the Cornell offense. They get their rebounds, they make their bunnies, but overall shooting, I don't think the Cornell offense hangs. And I'd have Princeton winning this by about 4 or 5. The MAC, I'm going to skip over one so I can keep the MAC together. Quinnipiac and Manhattan, a couple looks I liked here. The Bobcats of Hamden taking on St. Peter's. I have this game way closer than this. I don't know if I'm just off on my Quinnipiac numbers. Their defense, it's a good offense, bad defense. I don't mind those in underdog roles as they can just, especially late when we have to be taking some 3-pointers. Quinnipiac does shoot the 3 okay. They make, I think they're best in the league for free throws. And St. Peter's turns the ball over quite a bit. So I hate that as a favorite. The other one being Manhattan. I wasn't sure if I was going to bet this morning. I asked a MAC expert about it, and I was a little nervous on what he was going to say because he right away says, "Oh, I'm betting that game." Oh, okay, what do we got? Because I'm on the dog. And he said, yes, Jasper's for sure. They have one of their players.
What's a Jasper?
Yeah. So did you not see that in the chat? I had to look it up. It's the Jaspers were named after a brother. I think it might be a religious school. It's named after a person, like Brother Jasper, who he founded the Glee Club and a lot of the he was from it's like an old monk from like 200 years ago. Brother Jasper is what it was named after. I did look that up this morning. So Manhattan plus 5.5 live to win, we think. With Ant Nelson playing, and God, what was it I love so much about? I wish they wouldn't turn the ball over so much, but it isn't really the same team as we saw early in the season. They were able to take out Marist the other day. They've won against the teams they should won. They lost to Niagara, which is who they're taking on. They lost to Niagara. What was it? The 18th of January. I just had to look that up right now. But they did not have Ant Nelson on the squad that day. It is a different team right now. And the nightcap is Colorado State. Like I said, the Mountain West, most fun league. I'm half tempted to switch my Vegas vacation up and go out because they play the Mountain West Conference Championship games at the Thomas and Mack in Vegas. That would be a fun week to be out there and get tickets to those games. But numbers are closer. The spot I like quite a bit. San Diego State. Where are they here? Yeah, it is an away game. This is a tough place to play for San Diego State. Colorado State coming off a couple of tough losses against, Wyoming is coming off an overtime game. I think people are maybe discounting them a little because I make this line like Colorado State -6, really. So I don't know if people are wanting to dog on them a little off Monday's overtime loss, and then the UNLV game wasn't great, but this is a team that played pretty well over the month prior, and I'm fine. I'm fine taking this. Brother Jasper. All right.
Good for brother.
They're just the Rams. Yeah, they're just the Rams because they're in the mountains.
Sure.
Super Bowl. We'll talk a bunch next week. I'm going to start finding some cross sport props that I think you and I could tickle and have some fun with once stuff starts coming up. And maybe even if this
weekend, hopefully.
If there's some football / hockey, maybe I'll ask Matt what he thinks. If there's some NBA stuff, we can dig into those. There's always going to be some fun ones. Did you end up placing any MVP bets? And
not
is it just
yet.
Boring.
Well, I think this is going to be a great Super Bowl for non-quarterbacks. I mean, at the end of the day, Joe Burrow looks like a good candidate. Stafford being plus 115 looks kind of wrong to me, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think so. You start to look down the list. I wonder if we get a defensive player here. Somebody like Aaron Donald, 16-1 looks kind of interesting there. I wonder if Von Miller could get enough sacks here, but it feels like if the Rams are going to win this game, it's finally the week that Burrow goes down. For whatever reason, that offensive line has held up just enough for him. But this Rams team, I mean, somebody like Aaron Donald should be on top of Burrow. I mean, if he gets 2 sacks and maybe forces a turnover or something like that, he looks pretty good. And then, some of the skill position guys, I don't know if I want to play Cup at that small of a number. That looks kind of okay. Mixing it 40-1. I can't tell if it's a good bet or a bad bet. I can't figure out what the game script looks like for him, to be perfectly honest.
It's been so hard for running backs to win the MVP.
And then Chase 20-1. So
yeah.
Maybe Chase, maybe Donald's, something like that. I mean, what was sticking out to you?
So the one thing that did stick out to me is maybe a bit of a paradigm shift with your brain. Is you're looking at this as like a golf outright or a first touchdown score. Like, yeah, I want to find a nice number here, and we make some money. But really, I saw something. I think it was Dr. Eric who pointed this out on Twitter. He said the Rams are minus 200. That implies 66% of the time they win the game. It's like Stafford is plus 115 to win the MVP, or better at some places if you can find it. That implies like 45%. Like, essentially, how often do you think the Rams win the Super Bowl and Stafford isn't the MVP? And I think the gap between minus 200 and plus 115 is a bit big. And if you really do think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl, there's a decent case that you should just be betting on Stafford to win the MVP. Because I could see Cup getting it. Maybe I don't want to do a Dutch because the numbers aren't big enough to you'd be at minus 200 pretty quick. But like, there's a decent case for if you're thinking about laying the 200 with the Rams, maybe take part of that and just put it on Stafford, because it is such a quarterback-centric award. A defensive player in a low-scoring game, I love that. Dan wrote something up about Donald on the site. I think that has a chance. Von Miller would be wild, because people have won the MVP more than once. Tom Brady has like 4. But Von Miller getting it twice as a defensive player, that is a crazy barroom trivia for your grandchildren. Like, that would be wild if he got it again. And
he's going to have a chance to get a couple sacks, man. I mean, he's going to be running around that hole that Donald makes. I mean,
that's where I'm thinking. Like, I like Aaron Donald, but some of the edge rushers, like, I might see if I can find a number on some of the other edge rushers, or just like a defensive player wins it prop kind of thing. Because I feel like
great. That'll definitely happen at some point.
If there is some
any defensive player,
if there is like a low scoring shitty game like a lot of people are predicting, and the Bengals offense doesn't do much, it might just come down to, let's say Donald and Miller each have a sack, and maybe a couple other guys have a sack and a half, but some random linebacker catches an interception that's tipped and runs it in for a touchdown, and maybe the Rams score one other touchdown. Like, that random linebacker might just get the MVP. That sort of shit happens. Like, it has happened for defensive players. So I will be looking for that defensive player wins MVP prop and seeing what they price that at, because I think that's probably going to be a play on my card for next week.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's a great angle. I'll probably be looking at the defensive touchdowns and stuff as that thing starts to open a little bit. But yeah, it seems like it's a good year to grab position players.
What was that bowl game, Noobs, that I talked you into that? You played it first.
It wasn't even a bowl game. It was an FCS game. I think it was the FCS championship. It was the championship game or some other FCS game, but it was an FCS game.
They house the opening kickoff for you. So not really I guess they are props. One of them is more of a derivative, if we're going to get into semantics here. But you've played a couple already, and I wanted to hear, you told me you're playing these. I just didn't get the explanation yet. So do elaborate.
It's basically one of my favorite Super Bowl traditions. It's been a little tough for the last years, to be honest. Some of this stuff I've avoided a little bit because the Kansas City Chiefs kind of mess things up. They are a quick starting team. But in general, these games start very slow. The 2-week gap, you'll see players be a little bit rusty. The start time is a little odd. The flow of the game is very strange. And then you kind of layer in all the nerves here. A team like Cincinnati, I don't know if anybody on that team has been this far in the playoffs, let alone, to the Super Bowl. And then on the Rams side, most of them have been here before, so it's not too bad. But I basically load up on first quarter unders. and things like that. So there's a 9.5 out there right now. I think minus 120 or better. It looks really good. I look back at kind of the history here. I believe it's 6 of the last 10 Super Bowls have come in under this 9.5. Once you start to see some first quarter totals, I might look at it under 7.5 kind of thing. See if we get maybe plus money on something like that. But for right now, the 9.5 looks pretty good. Lowest scoring quarter, first quarter plus 210. In general, I didn't get a chance to go back and look at the last 10 years here, but I believe this has hit like 4, almost 5 times, I think, in the last 10 years. Again, generally, this is the quarter that's really ugly. Things open up a little bit in the second quarter, and then the second half, things take off a little bit. And then first quarter tie. This has been 3 of the last 10 years, and all 3 times it was 0-0. So honestly, I'm going to wait for the exact score 0-0 to open. I haven't seen it anywhere, but I'm definitely going to play exact under 0.5 points, exact score 0-0, whatever option I get when it opens. I'll grab some of that too. And then, next week again, we'll talk about this. They haven't opened the no score first 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes kind of stuff. I'm going to layer all that on too. So it's, again, just kind of a bet on these games being slow, kind of clunky. I think both of these teams will have had time to prep for each other. I think we'll see, again, a really ugly first quarter here. And then worst case, I'm wrong. It's a really exciting Super Bowl, and I'll be okay.
I like that. And hopefully we have a 3rd and 7 from like the 12-yard line. And it is 48 seconds left in the first quarter, and they hit a slant for 8 yards. He goes down, they pop up, they go back up to the line, realize there's like 30 seconds left, and they just let that tick off, and they score right away in the second quarter for you. Just a nice little sweat right at the end. But yeah, 0-0 would be the bonanza. I don't even know if you need to place that prop. You've already kind of synthetically got it. That would be awesome to hit that for sure. And I'll probably tail on those. I like a nice slow starting Super Bowl. It does get a little cagey from the beginning. We'll see how that goes. And yeah,
Holt, we don't have the Patriots are great for these.
Last thing, couple comments here. McPherson for the MVP from Leg Show. His odds are lower than a kicker normally would be, and it would take something. Again, if we do think it's a horrible, low-scoring game, and a Super Bowl is not that unique from a normal game. Games have been won by teams where they've done nothing but kick field goals. Teddy Bridgewater was in one of those games. Like, if you have that game, I guess just figure out what you think the price is, because the game would almost have to be, 15-10. McPherson kicks 5. 3 of them are from 50 and out. The last one is, seals it, maybe 15-14 or something like that, or the final 52-yarder to win the game or something. It would take quite a bit. And then Patrick says sack before touchdown at minus 130. I like that a lot.
Ooh. There is a no touchdowns in the first quarter prop. I've been staring at it. It's like plus 200.
Someone said they saw the McPherson number drop to 33-1 at one book. Please do not play a kicker at 33-1, guys.
No,
that'll be my advice going into the weekend.
Put the money in an envelope and mail it to yourself, and then you can pretend like you did it and it lost. At least you'll still get it back.
Yeah, buy yourself a card. Send yourself a Valentine's Day card with cash in it. Go.
Smart.
All right. And with that, we will catch you on Monday, guys. Thanks a lot.
Have a good weekend.